Hello and welcome to my latest stand-up slot. Thank you very much for your positive results about last week's 2-minute lockdown slot. So this week the theme is on my health, which has been a long-standing joke for many years. Sick Note was my nickname at school, and it all started off at my medical at the juniors, when after a few tests the nurse sat me down and said, "David, did you realise you are totally colourblind?" I'll tell you, that diagnosis came completely out of the orange. And then at secondary school, I was off sick and my English teacher wanted to drop off my end of year report card because she used to drive past the end of our road. And when she called at the door and I answered, she said in a rather prim voice, "Hello, David, are your parents in?" And I said, "Well, they was in, but they ain't in now." And she looked at me in horror and she said, "David, they was in, they ain't in now. That is terrible English and so atypical of a boy of your privileged upbringing. Where is your grandma?" And I said, "Well, she's in the front room watching telly." Then after secondary school, I lost a kidney. And the doctors said to me, "We're going to have to take a urine sample every 4 hours to make sure the remaining kidney is working to spec." And I said, "Every 4 hours, is that absolutely necessary?" And they said, "Well, yes." Personally, I think they were just taking the piss. Then at the age of 45, I had a hernia. And I was more fortunate than the man opposite who had been in a motorbike crash. So the doctors surrounding his bed and saying, "Mr. Brown, we've got some good news for you and some bad news for you. What would you like first?" And Mr. Brown said, "Well, I'll take the bad news first then." And the doctor said, "Well, I'm very sorry to say, but it's not one leg you're going to have amputated, it's both." And he looked in horror and said, "Well, if that's bad news, what is the good news?" And they said, "Well, the good news is the man in the next bed overheard our conversation earlier and he said that he wants to buy our slippers." And that's it. Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye.